It's okay, Chief. Thanks. Some time back, I was a member of the ANC Women's League. And Njimutse was my president. So she was my leader. She remains my leader even now. I'm saying that to say, in terms of the political culture, once the leader has spoken, that's the end of the meeting. So she has spoken. We Fred here has just referred a bit diplomatically to some of our current problems. And I think I'm quite sure that all of us are very much exposed to and very sensitive to a lot of these negative things that are happening. It's very, very difficult not to feel very depressed. You got these young people who've been demonstrating quite correctly here in Cape Town for 2 days now on the matter of violence against women. And indeed, when you consider this matter, you say, but what society are we that we can produce people of this kind? And indeed, we need to think together, what do we do to respond to this crime? Because it seems there's something which says, some people believe that we have a permissive atmosphere which allows for this crime. Clearly, we, again, as Fred has just been saying, we need to find practical responses. Then you have the other criminals who go and loot other people's shops and burn them down. It's clear this is ordinary thuggery. And some people I hear, they try to kind of dignify what is criminal behavior by alleging xenophobia. If I was xenophobic, I would go and hunt down these people I don't want in the streets. I wouldn't wake up to go rob shops. So I'm saying you look at this criminality. And when you look at it, you see how the thing has evolved. It doesn't look like this morning, this gang of criminals in a particular township decided, let's go and attack these shops. And 5 hours later, another gang goes and attacks those shops. This systematic criminality where does it come from? And I think all of us have had a sense of this problem, that over the years, this phenomenon of loss of respect for the law has become more and more widespread. There's a terrible story told yesterday. I'm sure all of us followed it. of some man in KZN. He and his wife are separating. And she goes to work, she's a teacher. And he takes advantage of the fact that she's at work to slaughter four children. I heard a bit of in the news, I don't know if I misheard it, I wasn't listening properly, that this man actually decapitated one of the children. You say, what is all this? Where does this all come from? Evidently, it looks like this particular case, he was trying to spite the wife because they were separating. And he murders 4 children. There's something wrong with the society which produces people of that kind. So we're faced with all these challenges. On Saturday, I think, Max, I'm going to have to talk to the mining managers. They've asked me to come to talk to them about mining. I'm busy trying to think what to say. Because you look at mining and many things associated with mining. In many instances, you see we still carry terrible legacy of the past. Challenges that need to be addressed. Whether it's to do with proper housing for the mine workers, proper skilling, attending to the matter of what is sometimes called the living wage. And yet you look at it and the industry is shrinking. Numbers of workers employed are going down. And yet this is a very, very important part of the South African economy. So the mining managers have said, can you please come and talk to us about mining? And their responsibilities as mining managers. I'm saying I'm trying to think, what is it I'm going to say to them? Trouble everywhere. So, Minister, it was very, very exciting to be here this evening. Because here comes out a message today which is the direct opposite of all of these things I'm saying. That despite all of these various negatives in our society, there are many among our people, South Africans, who are trying to do something that's positive and that is good. And fortunately, it's about education. Because in the end, it's not your platinum deposits or whatever else this country has, or the gas that was found by Total deep in the oceans. It's not so much those things that are going to change our situation for the better. It's people. Empowered people, capacitated people. What is sometimes called human capital. So I'm saying that here today, this evening, we had very, very good news, which tells a story which is the opposite of this negative one I'm trying to relate. Which therefore says there is no need to despair. Sophia, thank you very much for coming from Spain. And apologies for getting stuck in Doha. But I'm very glad you came. And the work that we're doing pro futuro is important. And then as the minister has been saying, these 50 schools are a pilot project. We want to see that this thing works so that we can expand. To be able to catch these human beings even when they are very little. To bring them into the modern world of technology and let them grow up with this thing and not it be a foreign entity. And thank you very much to Lukhanyo and the other people for this other work they've done. And the 200 pages. Minister, I did not want to give you those pages now, out of respect. It's because you didn't notice it. Maybe you did. They are not bound. They are loose sheets. So we'll bind them first and then hand them over to you. Yeah. But thanks a lot to everybody who did all of that excellent work. So obviously our next task is to study the 200 pages. In order to say, Lukhanyo has promised us that they are going to circulate brief summaries, 5 pages. As he said 5 pages, didn't he? Something like that, which will help. Because we've got to say, then what is the next step? He talked about 4 pilot or somethings that they would pursue. That is good. That is very good. But I'm saying in the end, we have the rest of us in the meantime, we'll look at the 200 pages, study those, any other supplementary material, in order to answer the question, what do we do next? Before I sit down, Minister, I must say this, Fred, there's one of my colleagues here, Seth Palazzi, is sitting here in front of me. I'm saying this because I know that the minister might have to run away. I want to communicate, Minister, a message that he wanted to communicate to you. Seth says, it's very, very important to expose our young people at school to particular history of this country. In particular, he's talking about what he calls the road to democracy. To expose young people to this road which was traveled, which brought us to our democracy, so that they understand where we come from, where we've ended, that in the end they've got something of value here, which they need to protect, to defend, and so on, not take it for granted. That one of the challenges we've created for ourselves here is that we have not done enough to expose these young people to that. And he was saying that he's going to talk to you, Minister, about this, because he and colleagues of his are actually already working on the texts. So very shortly, they are going to come with you with textbooks to say, Minister, can you please put this through your schools? This is the road to democracy. As part of the reintroduction of properly taught history in our schools, and that history will be a story of how the South Africans got together and in the end said, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. And therefore that this heritage, common heritage, belongs to all of us and we must do something about it. Seth, have I correctly communicated this? It's going to be it's an important part, Minister, of what we have to do with our education at that level. I don't know if it's what's called soft power or whatever it is. But in addition to the technology and all of that, this becomes important to understand who we are, because I think it gives us certain values which must help to inspire the young people as they develop. But let me say thank you very much, Fred, to yourselves, to all of the people who worked on these 200 pages and for the work that they are going to do again. Minister, thanks a lot for coming. And Sophia, thanks to Pro Futuro, and we'll continue to work together. Now, Discovery, Max earlier said you are captured. But thanks. But thank you very much to everybody for coming.